Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a packed show tonight, and we are ready to go. So, um, tonight, before we start, we always say, um, always pray when you're going out, pray when you're coming in, and always remember, God is in control. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. It's a beautiful thing. And in true Naram fashion, we're now making the final appeal for Kayla. Kayla Martin is a beautiful 12-year-old girl from Comapen District in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. She's a great gymnastic competitor. She came first in the inaugural Carifta Games in Jamaica. That's the inaugural gymnastics Carifta Games 2024. She came first, beating all the odds. She also came first in the Jamaican Classics. That's a beautiful thing as a 12-year-old, and she's great at her academics. She's a bright young 12-year-old. So tomorrow is the deadline for her to get the monies that she need to attend the gymnastic games and tournament in the Dominican Republic. So far, the cost is $3,000 to get her there. Her grandmother came up and pulled together and got half that money. Now, others have pitched in. There's 1,500 remaining. However, a lot of people, including myself, have pitched in. So she only needs $900, ladies and gentlemen. $900 left. So today I'm making that special appeal. So if you're considering to donate, and I urge you to please donate, whatever it is, $5, $10, 20 US. Don't It doesn't matter, 100 US. Please donate. As you can see on the screen, she only needs 900 US dollars. That's so far 2,100 US dollars is available. Her grandmother has Miss Darlene Morgan. That's her telephone number, name, and address at the bottom of that screen. In orange, you can see it. You can send your Western Union, your MoneyGram, your Boss Money, or you can transfer your monies over to her to these bank accounts. Now, I must urge you that if you send over to the bank accounts, there's a possibility that it may take some time for her to get it. But instead of doing that, you can send the money directly to her grandmother, this Miss Darlene Morgan. Her telephone number is there. You can call her as well if you're going to donate and you're not too sure. So it's 1-876-377-0867. I'm going to send Miss Darlene the link now for her to come on the show so she can help us to make that appeal. So ladies and gentlemen, we're so close. This young lady needs to get to the Dominican Republic so that she can compete and hopefully win as she normally does. She's a brilliant young athlete, and all we can do is encourage her. So, Miss Darlene, whenever you're ready, you can click the link. I know you're watching, and then you can come on backstage as you normally do. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kahaila Martin, she is ready to go. Only $900 left. Who's gonna donate? Do it now. So for those who are tech savvy and they know how to use their computers and their smartphones to donate, then you know what to do. You can go online and send the monies directly to Miss Darlene Morgan via Western Union, MoneyGram, or Boss Money if you're here in overseas. Um, if you're in Jamaica, you can send monies directly from your bank account to her, to these two bank accounts right here at the National Commercial Bank in Junction, St. Elizabeth. The account numbers are right on your screen. So I'll also scroll them below so that you can see them as well, or put them up. Yeah, there you go. So throughout the entire show, I'm going to put up the bank accounts so that you can uh, donate to young Kayla Martin and send her to the Dominican Republic so she can represent Jamaica in fine style, represent her school, represent her community, and represent you as well because you'll be sending her there. Okay, so I'm waiting for Miss Darlene Morgan to come on, her grandmother, and she can make that final appeal with us here at Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show, to get her to the across that finish line. As I said, it's 3,000 US dollars for her to get there, and 2,100 is available and has been donated. And our grandmother found half of it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, we're so close. Click, go into your phone, send the monies to those bank accounts, or just send it directly to Miss Darlene Morgan. Right there, it's on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. It's on your screen. You can send your Western Union, you can send your MoneyGram, you can send Boss Money. She'll get it. Just call if you have her numbers there. If you think that you're not sure if the numbers are the address is correct, call her. But this is the last appeal. We're right there at a balance of 900 US dollars is needed. So please send that money to young Kayla so she can get to the gymnastics tournament in the Dominican Republic. So we're waiting for her grandmother to come online, ladies and gentlemen. Now, look at it this way. If it was your child and you called me and said, George, here's what she's doing and we need some help, I would help you. And I'll put the word out just the same. It's a short time left, and this young 12-year-old is a superstar already. And I'm asking you, see it in your heart to donate to young Kayla. I've been saying this over multiple podcasts, and I see Miss Darlene is coming in the background, and it is not too much to ask. All of us putting together, whether it's $5, $10, you name it, 20 US, 30, 50 US, it all makes a difference. And I'm asking you to please donate to young Kayla so she can, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get her grandmother on the stage. Welcome, Miss Darlene. How you doing?
Thank you.
Welcome
So,
back. Welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. So, since we've been making the appeal, you've had a few people come in and donated some monies. You came up with half that money. I think that was 1,500 US dollars. That was a lot to find there because you believe in young Kayla and you made that sacrifice. And we're asking everyone to make this similar sacrifice, maybe not at $1,500, but whatever they can. You said you whatever what you collected. it now amounts to about 2,100. So you need about 900 left. So go ahead, Miss Darlene, say hello to the audience and also make that appeal. We're on the final stretch. Go ahead. The floor is
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Thanks,
thanks for bringing
thanks
me
for
onto
bringing
your
me onto
show.
your
And,
show.
and first of all, let
First
me
of all, let
thank
me thank
everyone who
everyone
reached
who
out
reached out
and
and
touched
touched
Kahaila. My
Kahaila.
heart
My
is
heart is
filled right
filled
now
right now
to
to
who
who
give and
give
who
and
doesn't
who
have
doesn't
to
have
give,
to
and even
give,
the
and even the
encouragement. I'm
encouragement.
glad
I'm
for
glad
that.
for that.
So we,
So
we
we
came short
came short
about
about
800 US.
800 US.
So I would
So I
love
would
to
love
collect
to
a
collect
little
a little
more.
more.
So if
So if
anyone
anyone
kind enough
kind enough
can give
can give
even a
even a
$50 or
$50, a
$10,
$10,
I'll be
I'll be
grateful.
grateful.
Or even in
Or
Wonderful.
even in
Jamaican
Jamaica,
$1,000
$1,000
too,
too,
Yes.
or
So
or
$500.
$500.
we have the account numbers here, and I'm putting it. I just put it up on the screen. Also, your contact information and address if they want to Western Union, MoneyGram, or send by Boss Money. Also, the as I was saying earlier that depending on where you're sending the money from to the bank accounts, if you're sending it directly from a Jamaican account to these accounts, it may get there on Monday. Because you now have the option that you can use your smartphone and do that. But if you're sending it from overseas to the bank accounts, it may take maybe 2 or 3 days to show up in the account. So um, if you do it that way, then um, you have to contact Miss Darlene at the number, her telephone number there, 876-377-0867, to let her know that you sent the money to those bank accounts because she won't see it on Monday. And Miss Darlene, tell us about Monday. What time is the latest time you can go in and pay those money?
Well, I
Well,
don't, I
I
supposed to
supposed to
tomorrow,
tomorrow,
but
but
I went
I
there
went there
today
today
and the
and the
lady was
lady
at
was at
another
another
school.
school.
So
So
I
I
left a
left a
message
message
and said
and
that I
said
would
that I
come
would
in
come
on
in on
Monday.
Monday.
So I
So I
think it's
think
in the
it's in the
afternoon I
afternoon
would
I
go.
would go.
Okay, so you have the morning period to go and get the monies from the bank or Western Union to hand it over, or you're just going to transfer it to their account. How are you going to do that?
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
take it
take it
in
in
and then I
and then
can
I can
collect my
collect my
receipt.
receipt.
Okay, so you have to take it in. So where do you have to travel to? Is it in Junction, in Mandeville, in Santa
Mandeville.
Cruz? Oh, so you have to travel to Mandeville. So you'd have to collect it in Junction. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, from Junction to Mandeville is about maybe 25 miles or more. So it takes a while to get there, and it's a long journey. So we are appealing that you send it early to me. You know, whichever way you're gonna do it. I think at this point and at this stage of what we're doing to help young Kayla, it's best to send it by Western Union, MoneyGram, or Boss Money if you're here in the United States. If you're in Jamaica, you can send it directly to these accounts. It will show up on Monday because you're sending it from Jamaica. Or you have other ways you can send it to a store, or what are other ways you can pick up money in Jamaica if somebody's sending it on the island? Tell me the other ways they can send the money. Go
You
ahead, Miss
can
Sterling.
send
You can send
it to Western
it to
Union,
Western Union,
MoneyGram, or
MoneyGram,
ALPART.
or
I can pick
again,
it
I
up
can
even
pick
at
it up even
court.
at court.
At courts,
At
they have
Courts, they
courts.
have
different
different ways
ways of sending
ways
Okay,
money
of
to you.
sending money to you.
so there's a courts injunction, or is it in
Yes,
Mandeville?
sir.
Yes, sir.
One is in
One is
Junction.
in Junction.
Okay, so there's one injunction. They can send it directly to courts. Is there another store, if I remember right? Is there a supermarket that you can send it to as well? Is that the case?
I have
I
never
have
been
never
been to a
been to
supermarket
a
to collect, but
supermarket to
there's one
collect, but
at
there's
in
one
town
at
super
Intown
safe
Super Safe
Okay,
that you
so you
can
can
send it.
always send it to InTown Super Save as well, and you can collect it
Mm.
there. So you have many options, ladies and gentlemen. So we're on the deadline. So where's young Kayla, by the way? Is she there?
Yes.
Yes.
Young Kayla,
Yes,
how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
All right, you. I'm sure you're getting anxious to go to the Dominican Republic to compete in those games. How are you preparing for those games? Are you training? How's the training going?
Training is hard.
Training is hard.
It's well, if you want good, your nose off a run, right? So are you enjoying it, or how do you feel? Do you feel confident that your workouts are going great? How is it going?
There.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the training, the preparation. You have a coach. What's the name of your coach?
Coach
Coach
Jody.
Jody.
You got to say that again for me, young Kayla, because you broke up there. You got to speak up for us.
Coach Jody.
Coach Jody.
Coach Jody is straight, wonderful. So, how how is it? Is your preparation? How confident are you? Are you feeling that you can win this?
I'm
I'm
feeling
feeling
confident.
confident.
You don't sound too confident. Are you scared to talk? You got to speak up because we got a lot of people rooting for you to go to the Dominican Republic. So to win for the country. So you have the whole country and the whole world looking at Kayla right now. And Kayla, we say do your best.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Okay,
Thank you.
continue to train hard, and I have a feeling that one day I'm going to see you in the Olympics. You know,
Yes.
Yes.
are you
Yes.
you have a great icon that you're following, and who's your icon again? Remind us.
Biles.
Miles.
Simone Biles. That's right. She's a superstar, and you're a superstar as well. So you're holding that banner high, and we say to God be the glory. You're a beautiful young lady. We say keep it up, keep practicing. We're gonna keep asking those everyone to come to the finish line. Your grandmother just said, I thought it was 900 US, but you're saying, Miss Darling, that it's now 800. That's what you're saying.
Somebody else
Somebody else
promised
promised
me a
me a
money.
money.
It doesn't
It
reach
doesn't
yet.
reach yet.
Okay, so you had a promise, so it's now of 100 US, so that means it's down to 800 US dollars, ladies and gentlemen. Please spread the word. I'm gonna put the bank accounts up again. So here they are, and also Miss Darlene Morgan's name. She's from Compton District in St. Elizabeth, and here's her telephone number: 1-877-377-0867. Please call her. And whatever it is, you can donate wherever you are. Send it to her. It makes a difference, ladies and gentlemen. The numbers are down now to there's a promise for another 100, so she's waiting for that to come in. So we're still at 900, but until that other money comes in, because it's not sure until it's in her hands. So, ladies and gentlemen, please donate. You can also, here we go. I had it at 900, but it's still at 900 because that extra 100 has not come in just yet. So, young Kayla, we're going to ask you to speak to all the people who are watching. What do you have to say to them? You got to talk to us, young Kayla. You can't keep silent. Say you got to say thank you, and You're gonna do your best for everybody. Talk to us.
community.
Thank you. It means a lot to me.
Wonderful, young Kayla. So we know it means a lot, and I know you're kind of nervous because you're not sure yet. All the money is not there yet, but we're routing for you, and we are saying to everyone, please spread the word. It's the last appeal here. We're at the finish line, ladies and gentlemen. We're near that finishing line. We just need about 800 to 900 US dollars for to make it happen. So please donate. I'm gonna put the bank account numbers up, and Miss Darlene Morgan, her grandmother, who is on the screen with her, and she's ready and raring to go. You know what I mean? She's saying, "Hey, send that money so young Kayla can get to the to the Dominican Republic." You know,
Yes,
it's not
we
an
are
easy.
hoping that she wins.
Say again.
I say thank you, and I hope
And I
that
hope
she
that she
wins.
wins.
We're hoping the same too. So let's put the accounts up, and also Miss Darlene Morgan's name. You can send your Western Union, your MoneyGram, your also Boss Money, or you can send it directly to the bank accounts. But there's her number. Call her if you can, and tell her or send her a message on WhatsApp, and she will know that you send that money in. So we're making that this urgent appeal, ladies and gentlemen, for so that young Kayla can get to her gymnastics tournament in the Dominican Republic. Please, ladies and gentlemen, donate. We're asking you to send young 12-year-old Kayla to her tournament. She has won the inaugural Carifta Gymnastics tournament last year, and now this year she has been to the Jamaican Classics. That's the gymnastic tournament, and she won also. She's doing good in school. She's a great, a successful young 12-year-old, and we're asking everyone to encourage her, help her to get to those games. Send out the message. Send in whatever you can so that young Kayla can get to her tournament. She's right on your screen, and she's raring to go. So please, ladies and gentlemen, send young Kayla to the Dominican Republic. So, so tell me, Miss Darling, you got to come on screen now. Can I turn the camera to yourself? How is she getting there? Is it by uh, she's going to take a flight to the Dominican Republic? Is
Yes,
that the
sir.
case? Okay. And
And
what date? Well, the deadline to pay the money is on well Monday. It's tomorrow, but you can take it in on Monday.
yes,
Now,
sir.
Yes, sir.
The date
The
for
date for
leaving is the
leaving is the
20th of
20th of
August
August
until the
until the
27th.
27th.
She'll be back.
She'll be back.
okay, so that's 1 week. Will you be going, or is it just her and the team?
Just her
Just
with the
her with
coach
the
and the
coach and the
team.
team.
I don't
Okay.
I
have that
don't have
money
that
to
money
go
to
there.
go there.
I would love
I would
I
to.
love to.
I understand. I know you don't want to let her out there, but you trust the coach and the team for them to get there safe and back. I
And
know
to
it's a
take
And to
care
long
of
take
her.
trip.
care of her.
She's leaving the country. She's gonna leave your home for this is gonna be the first time she's gonna travel, right?
Yes, the
Yes,
first
the
time.
first time.
Wonderful. So now I know why she's so nervous there sitting beside you. But you'll be fine, young Kayla. You just go there and do your best. That's all we ask for you to do. And we have a lot of people watching. So we're gonna ask you again, please, to donate. Here you go. Those are the accounts, and also her grandmother's name and telephone number is right there on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Please get her to the Dominican Republic. The deadline for the payment is tomorrow, but her grandmother called and said she's going to come in on Monday. So she's hoping that all the pledges that were made for the next 100, and you, the audience that are on here looking and listening, will donate, whether you're in Jamaica, in England, Canada, or the United States, anywhere in the Caribbean. Those are the numbers. You have the bank account number, and you can send it directly to her grandmother, Miss Darlene Morgan, and you can ask her how much you got so far, and see what you can, if you can put the remaining balance. Go ahead and do it. You have her telephone number, so call her. You can send the Western Union. Tomorrow's a Sunday. You can do it if you go to church. When you're coming from church, if you're here in the United States, Canada, England, you can send it. On a Sunday, these places are open, or you can do it on your smartphone or your computer. Send it directly to Miss Darlene Morgan. I think that's the best way. But if you want to send it to the bank account, call her or message her and tell her it's there. It may take a couple of days to show up in the account, but at least she has the comfort to know. Maybe she can say to a friend or a family or somebody else, or go to the bank and say, "Lend me some money." Some money's coming in. You know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, please donate to help young Kayla to get to the Dominican Republic. It's a great, um, she's a great athlete. And this is absolutely wonderful that a young 12-year-old in Jamaica, from the country, South Central Jamaica, in St. Elizabeth, is a gymnastics superstar. So if I know all our people in St. Elizabeth are very patriotic. Now, for someone from this side of the country and from Jamaica to be such a prolific and also a megastar, she's winning. That means she's good at what she does.
Yes,
So
sir.
encourage her. This is unprecedented. We've never heard of this in the South of Jamaica or across the island in general at this magnitude. She won at the inaugural Carifta Gymnastics Tournament. Inaugural. That was it last November? Miss
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Last
sir. Last
November.
November.
Last November. This is a big, big deal. So on your screen are the numbers, and Miss Darlene Morgan, her grandmother. The telephone number to her is right there. Just call her and send what you got. There's many ways to get it to her. She can tell you wherever you are, what you can do. You can work it out with Miss Darlene Morgan, her grandmother, who's on the screen. She pulled out all the stops and drained her account to make sure that young Kayla gets to the Dominican Republic. She's 12 years old, guys. This is a beautiful thing. And we're praying that all of us can bring her to that finishing line, so she can get the entire amount that she needs to get there. There's only we say 900 US, but she said she got a pledge for 100. That makes it about 800 left. That's very, very close. From 3,000 US dollars, now we're down to 900. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. Please, if you donated already and you have some extra change, send it. Send it. So we're at the deadline. Tomorrow is the deadline, but she has called them to say, "Hey, I'll come in on Monday with it." So hopefully you can send it to her so she can get there on Monday and pay that bill, so her um, granddaughter can get to the Dominican Republic to the gymnastics tournament. Now, this is, as I said, it's a big deal and it's a big appeal because we're right at the end here. And it's a make or break moment. And I know God, God is always standing by. I know there's an angel out there. Someone is going to donate that money. I'm positive of it. You're listening right now, whoever you are. Please send that money to young Kayla. You have Miss Darlene Morgan's telephone number right there on the screen. Call her right now. Pick up the phone and call her and send that money to so that young 12-year-old Kayla Martin can get to her gymnastics tournament. I believe in you. I know you can. All of you can. Whatever it is, send it now. You have Miss Darlene Morgan's number. It's on the screen, and I'm asking you to send that money. We're so close. It's so close, guys. She can taste that trip, so she can go and perform for Jamaica. I know many of you out there are watching across the globe and in Jamaica, wherever you are in Jamaica. Help 12-year-old Kayla do something that you can be proud of. Send that money. If you want to go to a party tonight, forget about that party tonight. You can go another night. Send what you were going to spend at that party. If you can spare some monies and you don't have to buy that wig or that nails, you can send that money and buy the wig and nails another time. Help her out. Make that sacrifice. Her grandmother made the sacrifice, and we're asking you. I made some sacrifices too, and I sent what I could. So, ladies and gentlemen, please send what you can, no matter how much it is, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 US. Send it right now. It's on your screen. I'm going to put the bank account up again, and so that you can, here you go. You still have Miss Darlene Morgan's number there. I say send the Western Union, the MoneyGram, the boss money. It only takes a couple of seconds to do it. It's on your screen, guys. So, Miss Darlene Morgan, we're going to check in with you again tomorrow and see how things are going.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm going to scroll your telephone number down below so that everyone knows how to call you and get a hold of you. And, we hope that people are going to do the right thing. I'm very
Yes,
confident
sir.
of that.
Thank you.
So any final words of you prior or what you want to do for the people that are watching right now and are about to call you on your number? Talk to
Yes,
tell
I'm
us what
praying
you.
for their
I'm
response.
praying for their response.
And I know good people out there
And
would
I
love
know
to
good
see
people out
Kaila
there would
thrive.
love to see Kahaila thrive.
And I'm giving
And
thanks to
I'm giving
everyone
thanks
at
to
least
everyone.
give an
At
encouragement
least
because
give an
right now things
encouragement
are
because
rough.
right now things are rough.
And I know people are putting
And I
effort
know
out
people
there
are
to
putting
help
effort
her
out
and
there to
thank
help
you
her
one and
and
all.
thank you one and all.
That's wonderful. I know, as you said, it is very tough out there for everybody. But if once we come together, we can move mountains, and that's the key. God is always standing by. He'll always provide. Please, ladies and gentlemen, send young Kayla to the Dominican Republic to this gymnastics tournament. It's an opportunity for her to expose her talent to the world. And you are on this journey with her. As soon as I am, as you call Miss Darlene Morgan, and I'm going to put her number up there. There are the bank accounts, and let me put the other one up so we can see. Okay, there you go. Her numbers are there. 876 377 0867. Ladies and gentlemen, please contact Miss Darlene Morgan. It's right there. Call her now. Donate what you can. I know it's tough, but you can pinch off one little something and send it to her. Call her now. She's up and she's waiting for you to call her and say, Miss Darlene, something that I feel. Anything where you can donate, no matter how small it is, it make a difference. Because every mickle make a muckle. One cocoa full basket.
In the
Please,
basket. In the basket.
just don't be ashamed to send whatever it is. If it's 5 US, 10 US, 20 US, 50 US, 100 US, please send it in. I believe in every one of you. Chumps off one little something and send it to Miss Darlene. The number is there, 1876 377 0867. And whenever I get those videos, when she gets to the Dominican Republic, I will post them here. I'll talk about them. And if we can do a live with a coach, I'll try my best to do that so you can see young Kayla performing. Ladies and gentlemen, please tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. Send one little something so it can make up. We can do a little makeup and make sure say young Kayla gets to the Dominican Republic. I'm asking you to help this young superstar. Let her realize her dreams, ladies and gentlemen. She got a gift from God and she wants to display it and she needs your help. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Call Miss
Thank you
Darlene
too.
right now
Thank
as
Thank
you.
you too.
you let
Thank
me get them
you.
back on the screen. Yes, Miss Darlene. Call her now. She not gonna sleep right now. Call Miss Darlene when you come from church tomorrow. Before you eat the Sunday dinner. Or when you belch after you eat the Sunday dinner. Call Miss Darlene. Call her. See her
Looking
number, yeah.
forward to
Looking
your
forward to
call.
your call.
Yes, man. She'll wait for the call, you know. See Miss Darlene there wait. She not gonna sleep right now. See the number there. Call Miss Darlene. Help out little Kayla to get to the Dominican Republic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm appealing to you tonight. It is the only time we have left. Please send in whatever you have so we can make up the rest of the money, the rest of the $900, 900 US. Please, we're not there for they're near, the 3,000 anymore, that 900. Help her out so young Kayla can go perform in fine style. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Miss Darlene, for being on the
Thank you
show,
too, sir.
and
Thank
we'll
you for putting me on the show.
talk again tomorrow. And God
Yes,
bless you.
sir. Yes, sir.
God bless
You
you, your
too. You
family.
too.
God bless
Yes,
young
sir. Yes,
Kayla.
sir.
Do your best, my dear.
Thank
We're
you.
routing for you. We love you, and we say, continue to do your best. We're routing for you. God bless you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Goodness gracious me, what a beautiful young lady with a great talent, and she's shining like a diamond. And we're asking you, please donate, donate, donate. We're so close. We're so close, ladies and gentlemen. There's Miss Darlene's number. Send what you got. Help young Kayla Martin to get to the Dominican Republic. Let's see this young gymnastics superstar do her thing for Jamaica, her community, herself, her school, and the world. Superstars are born and gifted by God. She's one of them. She's got a great brain on her body. She's a great academic. She does her schoolwork. She's not out there idling. She's training hard for this tournament. And we're just asking you, she's so close. She is so close you can taste it. I'm confident in every one of you that God is going to touch all of you and say, put one little something in a Miss Darlene and make she can send young Kayla Martin to the Dominican Republic. Feel it in your heart. It could be your child. This is a young 12-year-old superstar. It's it's one of ours. Please do the right thing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to touch on the ALPART situation. We had a conversation with um, Mr. Ratzigan today and his panel regarding the case that went to the Supreme Court in Jamaica. So let me put you in perspective of what's going on here. You have somewhere around 8 to 900 hourly workers who work for Alumina Partners of Jamaica. They signed an agreement to have a pension um, when they become vested after 7 or 10 years working for the bauxite company. However, this these men and women that work for the bauxite company were told that the plant was going to close somewhere around about 2006. So therefore, they had to be um, let go from their job because the plant was suffering from the economic turndown on a global scale, and the company was not making any profit, so they were forced to close down. So at that time, those who were working there became vested. Therefore, at that point in time, Life of Jamaica was going out of business as well, and they turned over the pension fund to the Sagicor. At that point in time, they were told that they should sign off on A, B, or C option to either take some of all of their contribution, some of it, or leave it till they retire. But whatever they do, there's going to be a retirement pension at when they get to that retirement age. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get back on screen here. They were then told that there's going to be a redundancy, and then there was a windup of the pension plan. However, there was a bait and switch kind of a deal. So their understanding is when they sign for A, B, or C option, when they get to retirement age, they would have a pension. Now, many of them are either are at retirement age or over it. They are or some are maybe are approaching retirement age, and now they're being told by Sagicor that they have no pension. Prior to them getting to retirement age, when the plant was closing down, something didn't seem right. So Mr. Witter and a few of the members decided to take the matter to court because something was fishy. So, given that the plant had said it's going to close down, however, they at first they said we're going to close, but we're going to close for 1 year. So, the majority of the hourly workers did not see it necessary to join the lawsuit that Mr. Witter initiated with the rest of the small group of hourly workers. Some did not believe that it should the plant will not reopen, and they were not in the mood to take the company to task or to court and risk their jobs. So they did not turn up. So we call that the art of the steal. So now that they're realizing, and many of these men, some have died, some are very ill, some are very old, and some are very sick, and they have no pension, and this is what they were promised. So now I researched the whole all the information I've been given, including the judge's disposition, and it took me a very long time to do it. It only came to me just over 3 weeks ago. We say 4 weeks, a month, and I've been working on it since. So now that we are at the point where I needed to hear from other people who have some kind of legal experience to tell me what if what I'm reading is right, or just give me their side. So since I have a very this is a very short time for me to cover all this material when this has been going on for decades, and I just needed to hear the extra voice of a very um, capable person, an attorney, and a former FBI member here in the United States, and his panel. That's Mr. Um, Will Rattigan. I was on his show last week, and this week we decided to dive deeper into it. And I want to put that on screen so you can all hear our discussion today, and I'll also comment later on after we see what took place earlier today. So earlier today, let's let's get it on screen here. I'm gonna put it up right now. So just a second. Let's find it, and let's see if this is the one. No, yep, it is. And here we go. I'm gonna get this going. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so stand by, and here we go. This was earlier today.
Bye-bye.
Later, TT.
Right.
Alrighty. All right. Look, we want to thank Mr. George Ashmead for patiently waiting. He's got lots and lots of interesting news, very significant news to share with us. And without further delay, here he is, Mr. George Ashmead. George, welcome.
Greetings, Mr. Radigan, and the rest of your crew.
Welcome back.
And blessings.
Welcome.
And I say greetings to your audience as well.
Good evening,
We're
sir.
here. God bless you all.
All right, George.
Another day above earth.
This is your segment. What I'd like you to do is kindly, briefly, just tell folks who you are, and then I want you to describe your purpose. What is it that's concerning to you while we're here?
Well, my name is George Ashmead, and I have a podcast show called Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show. I was approached by a very dear family member of mine who worked with a company called Alumina Partners of Jamaica. And they closed down in 2009 because of the economic downturn globally. However, there's hundreds of these hourly workers who were employees of the company that signed up for a pension plan and were vested, and are now being told by the pension holder that they do not have a pension. So this is my contention. So I looked into the matter because I did not know this was still looming. Years later, I thought this was resolved. So here we are. And that's my contention here. And I'll be looking deep into it with you folks. So let's kind of dive into this. And I give you an outline. Alumina Partners of Jamaica is one of the largest alumina producers in this side of the world's hemisphere, the largest company. And during I think it was 1989 when they reopened because it had closed down from the late 1960s to the 80s, closed down and reopened. There was a pension plan that was brought to the hourly workers but by LOJ. LOJ, everything was going good based on the plan, and they were told they had to sign this agreement and get vested over 7.5 to 10 years. So that's just the gist of it. So therefore, they were happily working towards this being vested and then to receive a pension at age 65. However, during the 2000s, there was a global crisis. There was a recession when this was looming back in 2006, 7, and so on. And at that time, the plan was forced to close down because of the decrease in demand for aluminum and also the oversupply of aluminum on the market. So they were forced to close down because they were no longer profitable. However, at that time, they said at that point in time in the 2000s, they said we're going to close our doors for a year. That's around 2006. So the members were alerted, and during that year, they were told that they're going to wind up the plan. And now this is what I call the art of the steal. So they were told, these hourly workers were told that on one hand, you're going to sign off on A, B, or C choices. A being you can take what you put into the fund and plus get a retirement income when you qualify. B, take a partial amount, then you can get plus you can get a retirement at the end of it, or you can leave everything until age 65, or when you qualify for retirement, then you will get a pension. That's what they were telling them on one hand. On the other hand, there was what we call a wind-up going on. So just to explain what a wind-up is, there's two different pictures here. One, you're saying, okay, you're terminated with a redundant, we're going to give you back your money, and you're going to get your pension at age 65. That's one picture they painted. And where the art of the steal started is when they said, we're going to close for a year. So that means nobody rebelled because they said, okay, we can hold out for a year, not knowing that the art of the steal was being set up. So on the other hand, they began what you call winding up. Now, wind up means you're ending the program and distributing the assets and the surpluses and so on. So here's two pictures. One, you're telling the people, choose A, B, and C. You get a pension in either category. So everybody choose A, they'll take what well, majority of them choose A. I said, okay, we'll take A because we'll get all our money that we put in, plus the portion that the company put into the fund will be distributed as a pension at the end of it, when they become eligible for retirement. That's what they chose. That's the picture they were being painted. At the same time, we have another picture that they're crafting, and I call it the art of the steal. That's the wind up. wind up means you're going to end the program, distribute the assets. So, in order to wind up, you now have to get the consent. It has to be unanimous consent to amend the pension program to wind up. So, in this section, if based on the documents I have, I found that the trustees that was on the board, a couple of them were illegal. These trustees, and more so one of them, had a conflict of interest. And I'm going to put up the court document in a second. One of the trustees was also the admin director of ALPART. And he was also the chairman of the board of trustees. Now, there's a certain process you have to follow in order to wind up a plan. And also, the FSC has to sign off on. Now, based on the literature I've read, the FSC was aware that there was a problem with the board, and you needed a certain number of members and a mix of those members in order to sign for them to rubber stamp anything, to sanction it. However, that was pushed aside. Also, the FSC signed off on it. Not only that, when there was not enough notice given to the members, or they were not aware that actually on this hand, this is what we call a wind-up. There's no pension at the end of it, on the wind-up. The game changed. Magic. I call it the magic show. ALPART rolled the drums. LOJ, who went out of business for some reason, and I think Sagicor and LOJ are in bed together. LOJ turned off the lights, and Sagicor waved the magic wand. At the end of it, they said, voila, there's no money. So these gentlemen, and I want to just stay on track here for a little bit before I get into the court document. These gentlemen were I call it bait and switch, like a bait and switch. You told them one thing here. Plant is closing down for a year. They held on. And a lot of them did not go after the LOJ or Sagicor or the plan because they thought this would have been over in a year, they'll be back to work. So hence why there was a poor representation at the court. Mr. Witter was, and I'll get into it. Let me put you're there with me, Mr. Radigan. I want you to follow. I had a document put up there, so I don't know if you can see it. Okay. All right. So here's the what went court. And as you can see, Mr. Owenwitter was the only claimant. In this case, you had Gisco Alumina Jamaica 2 Limited as the first defendant and Robert McKay as the second defendant. Now, Robert McKay is the chairman of the board and also the admin director of Alumina Partners of Jamaica. Now, I asked the question, why did the attorneys And let's jump into that. Michael G. Howell and Janet Simpson, instructed by K.D. Knight's firm, John Jr.'s firm, and Bert Samuel's firm. Why did they conjoin them? Because these are two people at the opposite end of the scale. One has a fiduciary duty to the hourly workers. The other is their employer. But the conflict of interest is that Mr. Robert McKay is also the admin director of ALPART. So why would you put them together? And you'll see what I'm talking about further on. Now, as you can see, the defendant 1 and 2 are represented down here by Walter H. Scott, QC, and so on, and Garth A. McBean, and so on. So let's get to page 2. Let's look at what the.
I think you have control over that.
Okay, hold on. There you go. Okay, so just to,
and by the way, you can enlarge on your side.
Sorry?
You can increase the size on your side.
Okay, I really didn't get to that part of the instruction. So you'd have to help me with that. I'm using StreamYard. I think that's what I use. Sorry?
No, I'm calling out to Kevin. Because what happened? Yeah, I just share. You're sharing it with me, but you have control over the size and the change, moving the pages around and all of that.
Oh, okay. I got it. Make it bigger.
All right. Point out to us what the section that you're referring to when you get
to at the top of the page. This is a summary. This was not a trial. It went to the Supreme Court for a summary judgment. So the rules that govern this is Rule 21, 1 and 2 of the CPR. So the CPR is the government the governing rule of law that will be looked. In this case, will be dealt with on it. So the claimants, that's Mr. Owen Witter. This was never a class suit or a class action. It was looked at as he is an individual, and he's representing the other members of the hourly workers. So therefore, the first defendant, which is Alumina Partners, now Gisco, it was mentioned here that there was a change, but they're the ones who assumed the risk. That's Gisco, the Chinese firm. And also the second defendant was the Mr. Robert McKay. Based on what Mr. Witter claimed, that one, they were in breach of the contract at Gisco or ALPART by not funding the ALPART employees' hourly retirement plan, and by failing to make provisions to pay pension benefits to the members of the plan who were employed at June 30 when the plan closed down. And at that time, based on the plan rules, they would have been vested, because it was the hourly employees' fault that the plan closed down. It was the plan itself. Also, another claim for the claimant is that the chairman and the board also breached their fiduciary duty at that time. And on the other hand, the first defendant, and I'm just kind of skirting over everything just to get to the real meat of the steel. At that point in time, with the defendants are saying that is Alumina Partners of Jamaica are saying, hey, everything went according to plan here. They're not responsible for how it runs, because the National Workers Union represented them. They had a board of trustees that oversaw everything. So we just made our contributions, and that's it. Mr. Robert McKay, who's the chairman of the board, in under this case, he said, first of all, you can't sue me because the plan rules protect me. I can't be found liable. And no, there's no order from the court to say that I should come in as a representative of the Board of Trustees. I'm here on my own in a personal capacity. So that was his first strike, the art of the steal. So now, Mr. Robert McKay is not representing the Board of Trustees in this case. He made that clear, and the judge agreed with him. The third thing is, he said, by the way, we don't, where are the hourly workers? We need to know who's bringing this claim against us. So we need to see everybody. So he can't be representing everybody, and we don't know who they are. So we have a right to confront our accusers, which he's right. The judge agreed. So therefore, Mr. Whittaker could not be representing those who are not there. So if you remember the beginning of the art of the steal, Alumna Partners said they're going to close on for a year. These men were, majority of these men were not interested to take ALPART to court because they wanted to protect their jobs a year down the line. A few members were convinced, and this was about 8, and this is on page, I'll get to it. This has to do with, it is about 8.8%, if I remember right, of the members. That's some 40 odd members were, well, 45 members roughly, and 48 members were there. At that point in time, you had 545 members who were accounted for, but only 48 members were there, which they say on page 6 at the top, only 8.8% of the members of the plan were purportedly a part of the action at this point in time. And I'll just scoot over to page 5 at the bottom. And at the top there it says only 8.8%. So below that it says defendants have a right to know who is bringing the claim against them and who they would be entitled to pursue for costs in the event they were successful. Okay. So this started an uphill battle for Mr. Whittaker at this point in time. So moving forward, I'm going to go to page 8, and I don't want to lose my train of thought because I'm a little bit tired as well. The evidence is summary. In the affidavit in support of his affidavit in support of his application for summary judgment, the second defendant averred that the National Workers Union was the responsible body that acts on behalf of the members of the plan. Mr. Peter Atkinson, and member nominated appointee to the Board of Trustees, had been a delegate and senior member of the NW for over 25 years and had been assessed as fit and proper to be a trustee. He indicated that he knew of no objection for Mr. Atkinson's appointment to the Board of Trustees during the 19 years of service. Now, in respect to, and this is in contention, Mr. Sardison, the second defendant indicates that he was advised by the chief delegate at NW that Mr. Sarlison is a member of the NW, had been selected by the members at a meeting held around July 2007, and Mr. Sarlison attended his first meeting of the Board of Trustees around November 27, 2007. Now that's in contention with the members, the hourly workers. So what I'm alluding to is, and I said this before about the board, they were illegal members on the board. In order for the plan, that's the pension plan, to then wind up, they had to be unanimous consent. So the hourly workers have to agree, and the Board of Trustees follow through with their fiduciary duties and sign off on it, send it to the Financial Services Commission, they stamp it, and then it moves forward. Well, what happened is that it was the Board of Trustees acted, it was sent to FSC, and it moved forward. However, the members were not aware of the bait and switch. And this is where it gets mud in the water. The plan began winding up, and this is, it started winding up about June 1st, 2009. But the plan closed May 31st, 2009, and then the winding up period started June 1st, 2009, and ended around December 31st, 2012. The funds were dispersed according to the wind-up of the plan. However, at this point in time, these men were thinking that they have a pension to get when they get to retirement age. I see you looking up there, Mr. Rattigan. Is there something that's bothering you? I can't hear you.
Unmute your mic, Mr. Rattigan.
Yeah.
Unmute your mic, Mr. Rattigan.
No. Continue looking at. I'm looking at a different screen. Don't worry about me. Continue.
Okay. Now, and I'm going to switch pages here for a second. Hold on. I'm just going to follow through on. Okay. So let me kind of wrap it up for a little bit because I got to get myself orientated. Oh, this is a lot of work. In a nutshell, the courts made a summary judgment. Well, it looked as if the judge was not too sure what was going on here. That's how I see it based on what I've read. On one hand, the judge is asking Mr. Witter, how much are you owed? But Mr. Witter is saying the man sitting in as defendant number 2 is the one who's supposed to let us know because he's the chairman of the board. And he has the fiduciary duty to have an actuary tell him that. And he passes it on to the hourly workers. An actuary has uses the mathematical language in order to get the numbers. So the judge is saying in his deliberation that it would point to say Mr. Witter is stupid because he came with layman terms. And but on the other hand, the summary for the defendants is saying, given that it's a wind-up, there's no actuarial mathematics that is needed. So how can we now look at that from a perspective of, you're asking Mr. Witter to tell you how much he's owed. You're saying what damages were you suffered, and he's saying, well, if I don't get my pension, this is all in the future here. If I don't get my pension, a lot of damages can be created. But right now, we're out. We're out of work, yes, but we're waiting for a pension. So the damages are when he gets to 65. However, the judge is saying you need to have an actuary, but you're talking on the plan of a pension, not a windup. The summary for the defendants is saying you need they don't need an actuarial report in order to wind up the plan. It's not necessary because they're distributing the assets. So there's two different schools of thought here, and the judge is summarizing in that way. So he's intertwining the two, which is incorrect. So the summary was against Mr. Witter, and I'll just touch on that briefly. Let me get to that page so we understand where we're coming from. This is at page 37. I'll just start from the top there. Well, from page 36, actually. Let me get to page 36. Here we go. Okay, so I'll just, the top of page 37, I think, goes to the meat of the matter. I'll go to page 37. It says here the final assertion made by the claimant is that in breach of Article O, which Article O has to do with notification from the board of directors. The second defendant failed to communicate changes to the plan to the members. The evidence so far outlined and reviewed shows that the assertion is based on a false assumption. It assumes that there were super repetitious charges made to the plan, changes made to the plan that were not communicated to the members. The court, however, accepts, based on the documentary evidence, that the payments were in accordance with the plan and in context with a redundancy and not in the context of the members' attainment of their retirement age. And I'll stop there. A redundancy is different from retirement, and as you can see. But there's two schools of arguments that the court came with. Why would you ask him for an actuary to tell you how much it is when it's already there? There's a redundancy and there's a winding up. So here we go. Here we go. The second defendant in his affidavit outlined the meetings, consultations, and sensitization steps taken to ensure members were kept aware of changes. Mr. Atkinson, he was a member of the board as well. In his affidavit, provides support for that evidence by indicating that he was part of a meeting in June 2006 where the amendments to the plan were outlined and explained. Now, this is the switch meeting. Now you're saying choose A, B, or C. A, B, or C says take a full payout of your contributions, partial or none. But with A will say if you take the full payout of your contributions, you have a pension at the end of it. Partial, you have a pension at the end of it, and I'll put that up in a second. And the third is say you can leave it there and have a pension at the end of it. The meeting he's talking about is winding up. That's ending the plan. So they're signing for one thing, but you're telling this is where the switch came in. So he's saying that this was fully explained. Nothing of the sort. He said there is no suggestion from the claimant that he and all the members were unaware of the contents of the plan as amended and produced to this court. Now, in order for them to wind up and get rid of that plan, they had to amend the rules. And that's another thing in contention because the amended section is different from the section that they were given. So it was all a bait and switch. So his contention is that there was no amendment. There was some other amendment or there must have been some other form they used, given that the changes he noticed in his payout between December 2007 and May 2009. So Mr. Witter saw the change on his statement, and this is what triggered the suit, because he's saying something is not right here. Why are you now not calculating my using the calculative the mathematics to calculate my retirement year rather than my current age? So now it's switched, and not a lot of people noticed this, but Mr. Wheeler did, and he said, "Look, something is wrong here." So the court said it's satisfied that those differences are fully explained and attributable to the winding of the plan. Now, in the court size, based on what they presented, it looked good. It wasn't a trial, so therefore not a lot was understood. And I kind of said to myself, where were the lawyers in this? Because all the way through, number one, if you're going to bring this to a summary court, the Supreme Court, then you have to have all your documents in a row. You gotta do your due diligence. You gotta make sure that who's there is supposed to be there, and you never can join these two people to become allies against the hourly workers because they collaborated. First of all, the chairman of the board said, "I'm not here in the capacity of the board of trustees. No one gave me an order for that. So I'm here on my own accord. So you can't sue me because the plan will say you can't, and I'm not here under that capacity." And that's on page 1. On 2, you'll see as you work yourself through it. Now, secondly, the way it's presented is convoluted. You're intertwining a pension plan and wind up together in the arguments. And I'm wondering where was all these attorneys at that point in time? What were they thinking? You want to say something, Mr. Radigan?
Yeah, George. Yeah, we're at our premium. Go back to page 1, please.
Yeah.
I'm getting a feedback.
You're getting a feedback on my end?
I'm not sure if it's your end.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, George. It's from your end.
My end.
Just go back to page 1, please.
Okay.
And forgive me for being critical, but I'm now putting on a lawyer's hat and I'm going to go through briefly some things that you raised. Now, when I look at this, I see that the claimant, Mr. Witter, was represented by some very, very outstanding attorneys. Let me see it right here, but for the claimant. Yeah, Knight Jr. That's AD Knight's law firm with we call him Balahula. He and I went to school together, Bert Samuels. So
when you say you don't know what the attorneys were when I was going, these are not fly by night attorneys. These are experienced attorneys. So I'm a little bit taken aback that you would say that knowing the qualifications of these guys. But people are people, and people make mistakes. Lawyers make mistakes. So, but I'm just looking at the firm and I'm going, well, it's not a firm that I don't recognize. It's a well recognized law firm in Jamaica. The second thing is this: I read the case, and let's just go to the court's decision. The court said that the claim from Mr. Witter was time barred. They said the claim arose in 2009, but now the filing took place in 2015, and that was way past 6 years statute of limitations. That's one. The second thing the court said was that the claimant, Mr. Witter, presented no credible evidence of improper plan amendments or personal financial loss, because he had to prove that he had lost to get the damages. Then another point the court made was that the trustees acted lawfully and that their decisions were approved by the Financial Services Commission. And then the court granted summary judgment and issued costs to Jisco and McKay, saying that Mr. Witter had to pay these people for costs. Are you saying that the judge's decision was proper and wrong?
You know what I liked about this decision, and before I go into what I don't like, is that given that it's a summary judgment, he did not take out the claimant's statement of case, so he has some recourse. So if he had taken that out, then it would be an uphill battle for the future trial of this. However, for the judge, based on the documents in front of the judge, he had no choice but to say that. That's his conclusion.
Yeah, but here's where I'm going. Where I'm going with this is, where do we go from here? It's a 2020 case. And back then the judge said, look, even if you had a case, I cannot render judgment because it's time barred. You filed it too late. So that was 2020. So the question I'm asking is this: where do you go from here? Because I'm sure the appeal, the time to appeal has expired as well. So where do we go from here?
It's not over, not by a long shot, Mr.
No. So where do we go from here?
And so therefore, this case has to go to trial for it to be hashed out, because one, you had a board that sanctioned something that they should not have. So that changed the whole picture. It was a bait and switch there, from a plan to a wind up. The wind up is critical because it changes the whole trajectory of everything.
No, I understand.
The step back, if you notice what the credible law firm that represents Mr. Witter, their arguments that it could not have expired based on the time frame of one, the plant closing down. That's one aspect, is the plant closing down, and these people are given notice that they're going to close their doors. And then the clock started at that point in time to 65, not to wind up. Now, if to get the wind up, they had to do an amendment. So the amendment has to be a unanimous decision.
George, hold on. Here's a problem. The problem is that you're making an argument that you made way back then. And now the question is, the argument you're making now, how do you get jurisdiction within the court? Listen to this. Because the first thing you're going to say is statute of limitation has long expired. So the arguments you're making now, I'm not saying the arguments are not valid. I'm saying that they're late.
So, you're an attorney, Mr. Radigan. You're an attorney. 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 if there's evidence to show that this is incorrect, and the summary, not a trial, the summary was incorrect,
No,
are you telling me that the word, when you're dealing with two different scenarios, one is retirement pension, vested retirement pension, and a wind up, and if the wind up is illegal, then there's no statute, there's no bar on retirement because it's at 65. So that means when you get to 65, the 5 year or 6 year starts right there. If you don't claim it,
no.
so basically, what I'm saying is this: if the windup is illegal, then we're now looking at a retirement that Sagicor is still on the hook for, and the NWC has to represent the man up to that to 65.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: then. What have you filed? Have you filed anything?
I have, as I said, it dropped in my hand just a month ago. This
Okay.
is when it dropped on my lap.
All
So
right. Let me
I'm reading through all the material,
Yeah,
and
but let me talk about summary judgment. Summary judgment is essentially the court saying that there is no dispute regarding material facts, and so the court is going to rule. That's essentially what the court is saying. The court is saying, I don't see anything here that this should go to the trier of facts, whether it's a judge or a jury, because it's a civil matter. And so that was said way back in 2020, and now we're 2025. And so what I would do is this. What I would do is this, and it's something that should have been done a long time ago. I would go back to that law firm that represented Mr. Witter and say to them, listen, what are you guys doing about an appeal of this? Because you can appeal it, but I suspect that the period to appeal has long expired as well. So it's an uphill battle now to get a court to grant jurisdiction to listen to this. So I would go back to that reputable law firm and say, listen, we need some answers from you regarding how this case was handled, and also where do we go from here. That's what I would do.
that would be the first move. Absolutely, I agree. Um,
So has that been the move, George? Well, a couple of things. First, um, you probably have a loop back on your system, which causes when we out here talk for it to come back into the mic. So whether it is to turn down your monitor or check the loop back. Second thing, taking this into consideration, what Will just said about the appeal and given the time that has passed. So statute of limitations is something that has been used on both sides. Those who are actually criminals that have done their best to draw out a situation so that nothing gets filed and boom, you cannot file it again. Oop, so be it. And so the way how this is based on the information that I just got, I'm no attorney, but just looking at it, statute of limitations coming into play. We've addressed statutes of limitation on this broadcast before with legal matters with politicians. So with this being a suggestion and you agreeing that this is a suggestion, where are you going to go from here? So the suggestion is go back to the attorney,
absolutely,
the law firm.
exactly.
Okay,
So
so you agree. You haven't done so yet. What are you gonna do?
well, that's the next move. You see, as I said, it dropped in my lap 3 weeks ago. I had to read through all the material. I did not get the disposition of the course until I sent it to you, Mr. Radigan. That's when I got it, and I just barely got through reading it. Yes, it was yesterday. And to combine all the evidence together, and then I'm saying, whoa, hold on a second, this is a bait and switch. So I'm saying, okay, let's hear from your panel. How do you see it? Let me get your feedback. Because in my mind, this needs to be acted upon now. And that's my chain of thought as well, Mr. Rattigan. That they need to go back to that law firm. It's a powerful law firm. I don't know what happened, but at that point in time when they were representing them, but there's a lot of unanswered questions here. So I'm just this is a learning curve for me where this panel is concerned, because I don't want to be hearing my own voice in my head. I want to hear your voices as well. So you're telling me, based on what you're seeing, Mr. Radigan, this is over. You're muted. You're muted.
Ratty,
All right. You're
I'm not
muted.
hearing.
You're muted on.
You're mute.
Yeah. Okay. From what I've seen, what I've read, this case is over unless they can find an exception clause that says it's over except in the case of, and then they can find their way into court. Because the problem right now is to get a court to listen to this. Because I can tell you right now, the court, when you get this, they're going to look and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, statute of limitations expired back in 2000, when is it? 2000, yeah, 2020, right? Or expired before then. The court decided in 2020, 5 years ago, that the statute had expired. So how do you get before a court right now? And the summary judgment was just to say we don't need a trial because there are no disputed facts of significance. So how do you get before a court right now to listen to the matter? And we're talking about listen to the substance, not the procedure. Because right now you have a procedural, you have a substantive, but you primarily have a procedural problem. The procedural problem is how do I get the key to open that door so I can go in and argue the substance? Because you may have the best substance in the world, but if you don't have that procedural key to force the court to listen to your argument, it's of no moment, and it goes to jurisdiction. Because the court has jurisdiction to listen to a with them to say, listen, you guys should have argued the following things. These things weren't argued, and so we would like to get another day. And what's your plan to appeal this decision? That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to appeal the summary judgment. All right.
Okay. Well, point taken, and I do agree with you, because I've heard that this morning, and I'd like to hear from the other members. What do you think if you had chance to? Is there anything else I can learn from
Based on what Mr. Rattigan said, I'm no legal mind, but listen to what you're saying, and the statute of limitation has run out. As what Mr. Rattigan said, they only hope you have, and hopefully they'll hear your case. Because if the statute of limitation is run out, there's no more you can do.
And I can tell you, George, what's going to happen when you file that appeal, when you file up the Gisco, whoever is representing Gisco and Robert McKay, whomever, that's the first thing they're going to file. They're going to file that the statute of limitation has expired, and therefore you can't get a second bite at the apple because you should have done so years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first objection. So they're going to say, Judge, there's no jurisdiction here. You don't even need to listen to this matter, Judge, because it's been years that they should have appealed this with the ruling, but now they're coming 5 years later after they were told that they were already late. So what I would say is go back to the law firm, raise the arguments you just raised with them, and then see what they have.
I'm listening to you, and I really appreciate all the input, and I'm making notes of those. However, there's one other nuclear option that you have not considered, because I've not heard you say that. That's a big one. I'm not going to say it here because it may rattle some pages, and it will unearth the whole case and bring it back to life.
Okay.
You should, as an attorney, I think you have it rattling, rolling around in your mind, the nuclear option.
Well, call me next week and we can discuss that.
Oh, definitely.
All right.
So this, I do not believe is statute bar. Not in from what I'm seeing. However, as you said, Which
Well,
court
look,
is
well,
gonna
look. Here's the thing.
no?
Here's the
Which
thing.
court is gonna listen to it?
No, here's the thing. They have to go file. They have to go find a tolling provision, something that said that the statute of limitations didn't run because of, and therefore we're reviving it. That can be revived. I'll give you an example of a tolling provision. Like, for example, if I owe you money and I didn't pay you, right, and you want to sue me, let's say the statute of limitation is 6 years, and now I promised you I'm going to pay you. Now in the seventh year, and I said to you, I'm not giving you any money. And you say, I'm going to take you to court. You go to court, guess what? I'm going to raise statute of limitations because I'm going to say, Judge, George should have sued me within 6 years. He didn't. And therefore, the court has no jurisdiction to listen to this except to dispose of the matter. And I'm 100% sure the judge is going to say, yes, and throw it out. Now, here's the tolling provision. I don't pay you for 6 years. And on in the seventh year, I said to you, I said to you, George, you really should pay me this money. And then I send you an email and say you owe me. And then you write back and you say, yeah, no, I owe you, but I can't pay you right now. Guess what? The 6 years start to run all over again because you've just admitted that you owe me money. If you didn't respond, then that would be the end. But the moment you admit or you make a payment, it starts the whole thing. That's a tolling provision. It starts the whole thing all over again. So they have to go find a tolling provision for you. Otherwise, you're out of luck. But here what? You have to go from no breaking because people are waiting about us things. So
Yes.
you have to touch base, but we'll link next week.
I definitely will. And thank you again to everyone. Have a great evening. And God bless from Nara Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. God bless you all.
Yes, people, check
Take
out
care.
a podcast. He's focused mostly on issues affecting certain parts of St. Elizabeth, Mike Place. So need to go and support him in every way we can. All right.
Mr. Rockingham, is
Hold on, George. Get your question.
yes, is he on YouTube?
Just mute
uh-huh.
your Judge.
Oh.
Before while you're not talking, just mute your mic. Ask a question, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Is George on YouTube?
Judge, you can unmute and talk.
Yes, I'm on YouTube as George Ashmead and also as Naram Promotions.
Okay.
So you can see NAHRAMP Promotions and George Ashmead.
All right, George. Take care. We'll talk soon. Thanks for coming. All right.
All right. All right.
Oh, we have to move this. All right, folks. That was Mr. George Ashmead, and him have a, it kind of it's a sad case because the workers really did work and really supported the pension plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then now to hear that after collecting about 35 billion, LOJ, I think, based on what I'm hearing, LOJ, the plan was switched from LOJ to Sagicor, and there are people asking for the pension, and they're being told that there is no money. But I'm also being told that there are people being paid out of this pension. So I don't know where we go regarding this, except to say that the lawsuit that they filed, I don't know why Mr. Witter didn't go back after the decision and talk to Bert Samuels and KD Knight and Junior and all of them and say, look, we need to appeal this decision and then make the argument, because the argument that George is making, I think it's a credible argument. I really do. But it's just that it's being made late.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Rattigan, if you were Mr. Witter's lawyer, wouldn't you say to him that we can appeal this case, sir?
I would have said that long time ago.
So how is it that neither KD nor John Jr. and Samuels didn't send it to their client?
I don't know. That's up to them. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, folks, the moment you've all been waiting.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, that was the gist of the whole conversation today. And I do believe it's not too late. I don't think it's barred. I don't think so. I think the judge from the Supreme Court summarized incorrectly. That's my take because I read it. And I've seen the evidence. And I'm still wondering the internal movements of this huge and important law firm that represented Mr. Witter. I respect that law firm, but something is not right. Something went wrong there. However, this matter needs to head back to the courts. And Mr. Witter and I, we're going to have a conversation because the time is now. There's no waiting period anymore. The time is now. So we gotta understand that every member that is alive has to be a part of this. This is not 8.8% of the members anymore. It's the entire group before we can move forward. That entire group has to make that decision. So we're going to touch more on that come Monday on PIP Mondays. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to that section. We're going to move into another topic. There we go. So let's touch on a little bit of immigration news. Then we're going to go into some important events, and then we're going to close the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, not a lot is different in U.S. immigration, that is. And I wanted to touch on that for you. And why do we need to touch on it? Because some important changes happened recently that is going to change the trajectory of many of the cases that are now before the courts. You see, and this is the immigration courts. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to this video, and then I'm going to touch on it. Just hold on a second. Let's get to it. Here we go. Listen to this.
Trump administration is pushing full speed ahead on deportations, ICE raids, border crackdowns, immigration court backlogs. But in a shocking twist, Congress just introduced a bipartisan bill. Yes, bipartisan, that could reshape everything. For the first time in over a decade, both Republicans and Democrats are backing the same immigration reform. It's called the Dignity Act of 2025, and it might be the one-shot millions of undocumented immigrants have to step into legal status without draining public funds or promising a free ride. So, what's in it? Who qualifies? And could this really become law under Trump? United States, a bipartisan surprise in the Trump era. This bill isn't coming from just one side. It's being championed by Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar of Florida and Democratic Congresswoman Veronica Escobar of Texas. With 20 co-sponsors from both parties, the Dignity Act is one of the rare moments of unity on an issue that has divided America for decades. And it doesn't just touch immigration. It overhauls it from undocumented residents to border security, asylum reforms to dreamer protections. But make no mistake, this isn't a liberal dream or a conservative crackdown. This is a calculated middle path. What is the Dignity Program? At the heart of the bill is the Dignity Program, a 7-year pathway to legal status. Here's what you need to know. Must have lived in the U.S. since before 2021. Must pass a criminal background check. Must pay restitution and back taxes. Must check in with DHS every 2 years. No federal benefits allowed. Must have health insurance. Participants would gain temporary legal status, protection from deportation, and legal work authorization. They can travel legally, renew status if compliant, and live without fear. But there's no path to citizenship. None. As Salazar bluntly said, this is not amnesty. This is dignity. No handouts. No shortcuts. Just a legal way to work and go home for Christmas. Self-funded, not taxpayer-funded. This program is completely self-funded. That means application fees, restitution payments, the compliance costs are paid by the applicants themselves, not by taxpayers. That design has won over skeptical Republicans, many of whom have historically blocked immigration reform for being too expensive or too soft. And it sends a clear message. Earn your legal status on your own dime. Border security, no compromise. While helping undocumented immigrants, the Dignity Act also gets tough on enforcement. Here's what it includes: full border infrastructure funding, expanded surveillance and patrols, physical barriers where needed, mandatory nationwide e-verify for all U.S. employers. This would shut down one of the biggest incentives for illegal immigration, working under the table without proper authorization. Republicans say, no e-verify, no reform. This bill gives them what they want, without sacrificing compassion. Dreamers and asylum seekers get long-awaited relief. The bill doesn't stop at undocumented adults. It also includes permanent protections for dreamers, the young immigrants brought here as children, streamlined asylum processing to speed up legitimate cases and block fraudulent ones. It aims to fix a broken asylum system where people wait years just to hear back while living in limbo. It also proposes expanded visa programs in high-need areas like agriculture, construction, education, healthcare, plus new training and apprenticeship programs for all workers, both immigrants and U.S. citizens. America wants immigration reform now. Why is this happening now? Because public opinion has shifted dramatically. A 2025 Gallup poll shows 73% of Americans now say immigration is good for the country. 91% of Democrats and even 64% of Republicans agree. 62% disapprove of how Trump is handling immigration. In short, the tide has turned, and voters are demanding action. Escobar said it best. This moment is very important. The shift in public sentiment should help us, but we must act. Political hurdles ahead. Still.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you got the gist of that, because I said at one point in one of my podcasts that everyone should calm down, because they're getting rid of the undesirables. They're in some corners they say 12 million people came across the border. In other corners they say 20 odd million came, and in other corners they say 100 million came. So the crime went up. Fentanyl was killing tens of thousands of Americans every year, and also there was a lot of crime in the streets and a lot of death and mayhem. So they had to have a crackdown and clean up the place. So that's what's happening right now. But in the meantime, they're tabling this in Congress to see whether or not they can patch what's wrong with who's left, to give you some sort of, not everyone is a criminal. But if you're not a criminal, you're fine. This is what they're saying. If you're here undocumented, here you go. You spend your own money and get the American dream. But you cannot depend on the U.S. government or the states or so on, or the coffers of the United States to take care of yourself. You got to do that on your own, because they're not going to help you. But we'll give you a way to earn here and go home and do it legally. So let's see what happens if it's going to reach the president's desk. We're going to watch that one. So there's another one here that's going to change the trajectory of a lot of cases in the courts as well, because it is, let's see, let me get onto this. Let's see. Here we go. Let's share this one. Let's go. Let's get that on the screen. Here we go. And boom, let's run this.
They're tough people, they're bad people. We don't want them in our country. We can't let a judge say that he wants them. He didn't run for president. He didn't get much more than 80 million votes. And we just can't let that happen. It'd be so bad for our country. I won on the basis of getting criminals out of our country.
Amid the intensifying immigration crackdown, the Justice Department in recent days fired more than a dozen immigration court judges across the country, according to the union that represents them. The firings come as Donald Trump's administration intensifies efforts to detain and deport undocumented immigrants. 15 judges were reportedly let go on July 11, followed by 2 more on July 14 in courts spanning 10 states across the country. The Department of Justice has not provided public reasons for the dismissals, but the union says none were fired for cause. The move comes as immigration courts face overwhelming pressure, with more than 3.6 million cases currently in backlog as per reports. These cases often take years to reach final determinations on whether people can stay in the country, as migrants navigate complex legal systems, often without legal representation. Judges hear between 500 and 700 cases each year. The firings, the union says, will only deepen the backlog and delays. Union President Matt Biggs called the decision outrageous, urging the DOJ to halt firings and begin urgently hiring new judges. A recent federal spending bill signed by Trump provides $3.3 billion to immigration courts, capping judges at 800 total. Immigration courts have faced increasing scrutiny as migrants looking to attend regular hearings are detained entering or exiting courtrooms by masked agents. They have become the center of protests across the country, including in Los Angeles and New York. Since Trump took office, more than 100 judges have been fired, transferred, or pressured to resign, according to the union.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that in itself tells you that it's going to take a very long time for a lot of cases to get to court. And in the meantime, they're having a crackdown. So you go figure if you have a problem, what's going to happen. But you need legal advice here because this is an orchestrated move. And goodness gracious me if you're waiting. So we're on a wrap-up phase now, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to touch on a few events, and one of the events I'm touching on is July 26th. It's only 6 days away. That's K's Mobile Health Fair, which is going to be in New Forest District at the AgriPlus Farm Store. On July 26th, it's going to start early at 9 a.m. You have free blood pressure checks, free blood sugar checks, and free HIV tests. And also doctors will be there to do free back-to-school medicals, and a lot more information is going to be handed out there at AgriPlus Farm Store in New Forest District in Manchester. Please be there. This is a good event, and the proceeds from the food and so on that they sell also goes back to the children for back to school. So Kay's doing a wonderful job. Hats off to Kay, and we're going to have her on the show very, very soon. I'm hoping that for PIP Mondays or closer to the event, she'll come on the show and talk about it. So we're going to reach out to Kay tomorrow or during the course of the day on Monday to do so. So also we have a night at Roxbury. The night at Roxbury is Swamp View Promotions in association with Bolo presents his birthday celebration on Friday, July 25. That's 5 days away, right? So this is going to be a big deal. It's called the Night of the Roxburys. We have musical juggling by DJ 5, Uptown Movements, and the mighty DJ Kino. This is going to be a big deal at New Forest at Gully Side Bar on Lane Road in New Forest District, right close to Eon Lawn. So check it out, guys. Also, we have Chicken Back and Seafood Festival on August 1st in Alligator Pond at Taurus Seafood and Restaurant and Lounge in Alligator Pond. This is a big deal, and we're hoping to have both Bolo and Peter Nita come on to speak about it maybe on Monday. Let's see how it goes. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. We really appreciate you, and we say God bless you all. Thank you for being a part of the show. So always remember, pray when you're going out, pray when you're coming in, and remember, God is always in control. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all. Our promotions is at you.